So let me introduce Stephanie. Stephanie is an exhibiting artist who uses mixed media and printing techniques in her paintings, books, and art installations. She's originally from London, where she earned her BFA. Stephanie has an MFA from Syracuse in painting, printmaking, and ceramics. She is currently exhibiting at the Modern Eden Gallery in San Francisco. She teaches at the College of Marin, San Francisco Center for the Book, yay, and University of Pittsburgh. Her recent work is informed by the geometry of insects and flowers and includes immersive garden-like installations. The spaces she creates seem playful, but her use of recycled materials invite you to think about the garden as something a little bit more complicated, something with opinions of its own about procreation, ecological change, and human intervention. Stephanie is a really popular teacher here at the San Francisco Center for the Book. She's taught Book in a Tin, the Circle Accordion, and she's got a textile two-part workshop coming up very soon. And without further ado, here's Stephanie. Let me
Hello,
spotlight her.
everybody. Hiya, welcome. So for you guys that aren't in California right now, it's about 12:36 in the afternoon. I'm in my studio in San Rafael. It's part of an art center called Artworks Downtown. And I've been here a long time, hence a quite packed studio, actually. Lots of different materials and tools and art in various stages of being finished or not. So I'd like to show you a little video that gives you a sense of what my space looks like from another perspective. And I will talk a bit about the different media I work in. I'm interdisciplinary, I suppose, is the term nowadays. So let me find a little video as an intro here. This is my desktop. This is a new painting, actually, this one in the middle here that I finished recently. And that's at Modern Eden. So here's a tour. Now, I recorded this and the sound was subpar. So I am going to narrate over it instead. And I'll be improvising a little bit here. Let's hope it makes some sense. So here's the outside of my studio, commonly known as the Stewed. And we have a community of artists working here, and we don't have, the walls don't go straight up to the ceiling, so we can chat to each other over the walls, which is great. And here are some of the books that I have made, books in tins and different artists' book forms. This is the piece I'm working on right now. These are the supplies I use a lot of. I start with acrylics, but then I move into oils when I'm doing paintings and 2D pieces. These are Grumbusher Max. They're water miscible. I've used them for years. I really like them, very good quality. Here are my brushes, which come in a variety of stages of distress. Some of the most rough and ready ones are the best. My palette, my work surface. These are spray paints I like to use at the beginning of a painting. They're water-based and they go through stencils really well, which I use quite a lot. So my supplies. Here are my drawings. These are kind of preliminary drawings for paintings. Sometimes I don't do much of a drawing before I start a piece, but those I worked on a bit more. And this is my piece I'm doing right now, inspired somewhat by Daniel Defoe's Plague Year journal. I love all the different fonts that we use to make the frontispiece of that. And I think it took me a year, but I'm kind of trying to process our pandemic and connecting somewhat with what people must have gone through in 1665 and all those other times. And there's science coming to the rescue. That's in progress. And these I'm working on as well. And I usually work on a few pieces at once, so I can kind of let one sit for a bit and then come back to it fresh. These are some other pieces, and these are earlier works that involve a lot of recycled materials. I use a lot of stencils in my work, and some I've found, some I've made. And these ones are really handy. These are my kind of architectural pieces. And I will use these in lots of pieces, and it kind of has a thematic quality that ties the work together. They have a kind of symbolism, which you can see in this piece here, how I use them. So that's my first video. And I could shall I stop for questions right now before I show you another one? Is that how we're working this?
It's whatever you would like, Stephanie. We
Yeah,
can
if
take.
anyone's got any questions at this
Okay.
point while we're fresh.
Yeah, if people have questions, they're welcome to type them into the chat. That's usually the best, most efficient way. So if you have questions, go ahead and just type them, and we will shout them out as we go along.
So as I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to show you where I'm sitting in my studio here. You can see this is the painting kind of area, and I have various things on my walls there, and there's some of my mobiles, which I will get to. My next video is going to include a little bit of that, I think. And there they are all hanging up. And I don't know if anyone recognizes the image in that mobile hanging there, the two sisters, one tweaking the other's nipple. But it's a very famous school of Fontainebleau painting, which some of you may know, and I reference it in a few different pieces of my work.
Stephanie, Jane has a question.
Yes.
She's wondering if you can talk about layering in your work.
Layering in my work. Yeah, I mean, in some ways you can see it literally in the pieces behind me. I will use different recycled papers, some of them burnt, some of them are water damaged and stuff, and build up a layer with those. In my paintings, I start off with, I really figure a lot of it out usually on the canvas as I'm working. And so it'll get more and more defined as I keep working on it. So I will rough things in, like on this piece here, I had to rough things in for quite a long time to get the composition right. The figure was too high, there was too much space below her little moat that she's sitting in. And so I don't do any refining or fine tuning of the imagery until I've figured out where things are going. And you can see I've done a little bit around her neck. That's going to be some keys, but I'm not sure how they're going to be. So that's fine. I can just define it later. That's one kind of layering. And the other layering is I do glazes with transparent color, especially with oil paint. It's a technique being used since the beginning of oil painting, really. And so I will put a transparent, maybe burnt sienna or something over the whole piece of the painting to create a kind of unifying tone to it, and change the color but not obscure the underpainting.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. I'm going to combine this one. This is from Lois and Gail. They're wondering about your use of stencils, and if you do use stencils, do you cut your own?
I do both. I kind of used to feel like whenever I've got a stencil I've bought or found, actually I've just found them sometimes in our free pile at the Art Center or something. It's like finding recycling a found object and using the way that's drawn or the lettering that's done in a way that I wouldn't do. And I like bringing that to the artwork. It's a different kind of hand that creates the shape and the quality. And then sometimes I'll make them. I'll make them if I need certain elements that I haven't got. I'll do papel picado sometimes. Is a nice paper cutting technique from Mexico that I used to teach children to do a lot, and I like making those and kind of stenciling through those too. So it's a mix.
Great. There's a couple more questions about like the water-based spray paint that you use.
Yeah.
And how do you work with them? What brand do you like?
So this is, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Montana. I'm pretty sure it's Montana. Yeah. And, you know, a very traditional use for street art, painting murals and all those things, but they're very toxic smells. So when I found that they do water-based ones, because I'm inside, and there are quality colors, I kind of really got into that. And you can get small ones like this. The caps always block up really quickly. So I recommend if you get some, buy like 10 or 20 extra caps, because those block. And then there's a Liquitex one here. I like this one. Liquitex has also done, this is a fluorescent color. And you can see in the piece right behind me, those bright, bright greeny yellows, that's the fluorescent paint that I use for that. And you get a different line quality when you spray through a stencil, and that's something I really like. You get a crisp edge, or you can double it over a little and do things.
So are they waterproof after they dry, and can you use watercolor over them?
I don't really use watercolor.
Okay.
Water-based materials, yeah. So, I use acrylic paint over them, and then I paint with oil over them. So there's always I don't have I break a lot of rules, but there are certain rules I really respect, which is you only paint oil paint on top of acrylic. Do not put acrylic paint on top of oil, because oil dries at a very different rate from acrylic, and everything you do will crack. The acrylic will crack and it will peel off.
Great.
But the oil paint can go over your acrylic painting. It can go over the spray paint stuff, water-based spray paint.
Great. You may want to show your next video now.
Yes, okay, because we will run out of time. Okay, let's do another share. Sharing is caring. So let's do some books. Can you see that? It's a big screen. Yes? Can everyone see that? Somebody
yes.
see? Yes.
Yes, we can see that.
All right, so here we go. This is, I have to turn the volume down. These are something I've done a lot of recently, which are books in tins. And I love doing them, and other people love doing them. I've been teaching lots of classes. They come in a variety of subject matter. And this one was one of the first ones I did. And I used this book I had on horses, and I had to find little things, little bits and pieces. And I found this little graphic. And then when I read about it, it was the dance moves of a horse ballet, which I had. And this is the Emperor of Austria, who loved doing horse ballets. And those are the steps for the dance routine. So I learned something by working, in a much smaller scale, which was lovely. These are part of a series I did for University of Pittsburgh Art Gallery. They wanted to do some public programming to go with their show exhibit on medieval manuscripts. And I couldn't have been happier, because that's one of my favorite things to look at. There's so many wonderful, quirky details. So and they have lots of manuscripts and facsimiles there that they sent me imagery of. They sent me the pictures, and then I cut them up and designed this project. And I couldn't have been happier. There's a lot of gold, obviously, in illuminated manuscripts, so we referenced that, and we tried to make it relate to, the patterning and everything relates to medieval manuscripts as well. And those come in a lot of different subjects, as I said. Now, this is another one I made. I was doing something about threes, and I wanted to do something about the three little pigs, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go. And so I started with the three houses that they built, and I thought it was going to be very kind of sympathetic to the pigs, but actually, as I did it, the process revealed that I was much more sympathetic to the wolf, and she was a she-wolf, and she was going to blow their houses down. So I think in a way they must have been chauvinist pigs that I was thinking about. And even the last house that's made of brick is blown up because she's had it with those pigs. So she's prowling outside. There, you can see her little footprints. And at the back there is someone stomping out the patriarchy, as you do. So those accordion book forms are very, I really like working with them. They have a lot of potential. Well, there you go. And I will show you another one right now in case we run out of time. So this is about the mobiles and how I got to them. It's one way of trying to explain it. I'm not sure. There's lots of ways I can talk about it. So these are some of the first mobiles I made for a lot of recycled, burnt kind of papers and documents I had. And they evolved from trying to make books early on, and I was sewing the books up the middle. And then I thought, well, you can hang them from a string and they can fly around, which would be fun. So those were for a project up in Lake Tahoe, an outdoors installation that I did by the lake, which I think informed the color palette. And then I realized that that form could be good on a two-dimensional surface as well. A little bit of 3D going on, but the symmetry and the recycled materials and everything went into some of my work on canvas, and then it got larger and a little grander here even. And there's sewing in there. There's some embroidery that I did on the papers before I stuck them down. And then I combined that with painting a little bit, and then these evolved into paintings that have some mixed media. That had glitter and gold leaf on, and the symmetry as well. So there you go. That's all my videos, and I'm open to
We have another question.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is from David. He's wondering how hard or easy it is to do a zine. And do you do
zine? I just taught a zine in my that's great. In my class at College Marin, actually, the first week. A zine, honestly, you can Google how to do a zine from one piece of paper. It's probably out there on the interwebs 1,000 times, but I also can teach people to do it. And it's not too difficult. I'm not going to show it right now. I don't know if that's a good time to do it, but we did have an event at the center for the book, and I was in charge of the zine table, showing people. They printed them on the letterpress, and then I showed people how to do the simple folds and the cut to make it into a little book. So I probably know how to do that in my sleep now. I recommend doing them. They're so fun. And if you do one that you can also put into a photocopy machine, you'll be able to reproduce it lots of times, because you just need one sheet, put it in, then snip it, fold it, you're done.
Great. And there's a question from Lori. She's wondering, in regards to your stencils, do you keep water-based and oils separate?
Have you seen my studio? No. No. I don't really clean my stencils because I like the crud that they get on them. Makes them less machine cut looking if they are from a store. So, occasionally I'll sit and I'll peel off the layers of paint off a plastic stencil, just because it's kind of satisfying, and it's a bit like painting your nails or something.
So you do reuse your stencils then?
I've had them for 15 years, some of them, and I don't separate. I just keep using them. And if they get too crusty, I've got a beautiful one of the Conservatory of Flowers that was part of a pop-up greetings card I got, and they'd laser cut the thing out. I can go and find it if you want to see. And that was beautiful for a long time, but now all the little windows of the conservatory are getting blocked up, and I have tried to open them, but so, you know, they are what they are. I can't spend, there's so many hours in the day, and I'm not going to clean all my stencils.
Do we have any more questions?
No more questions.
Not at the moment, but can
Okay.
you talk about the couple classes that you have coming up here at the center?
Yeah. So I have a class on a circle accordion, and actually I might show you this circle accordion book I've made that I was going to do a video of, but wouldn't load. That's coming up. That's full. There's a wait list for it. And then in March, I'm doing a textile book, artist book with stitchery, and I will show you that too. And that is a two-parter. It's the 18th of March for 2 hours, and then the 25th of March for 2 hours. And it's great. And what we love about it is you can use all those little bits, scraps of fabric you've got lying around that, you know, even if you were dressmaking, you had a little bits left over, whatever. And we make a kind of patchwork of textiles and paper. We can mix up paper ephemera and everything. And we adhere it with medium to a freezer paper and let it dry. And that's why it's great having a week in between. And then you peel it off, and you've got this papery patchwork fabric piece that then you can stamp on, you can paint on it, you can embroider in it. So I'm going to just grab a couple.
Okay, I'll ask you a question while you're grabbing those, okay? So Michelle is wondering if you create books that relate to your paintings, and Lois wants to know what glue you use to adhere your art to the tins.
What medium? Okay, so shockingly, I find a glue stick, an acid-free glue stick, works for the books in tins really well. It's strong enough as long as you use a lot of it, and it's cleaner than slapping loads of medium on. If I'm doing collages on a big piece of canvas or panel, I'll use an acrylic medium, usually to adhere things like this Liquitex. This is a small bottle of it, but matte medium is really good, or a gloss medium. So those are very good for adhering things. Was there another question?
Just that if you create books that relate to your paintings.
Well, you know, sometimes I think there might be a disconnect a little bit, because sometimes the paintings are on their own journey and then the books come along and they go on their way. I was actually interested in the crossover between the medieval manuscripts and the medieval content I'm doing in the current pieces. But sometimes I think they're all related, because it's all very internally motivated, the subject matter, about exploring ways to express experiences and ideas and beliefs in just a visual way rather than writing or talking about it.
We have 2 minutes left.
Yes.
So if you want to show your books really quick, and then my colleague Jenny has an announcement, and then we'll leave the Zoom session open so that those of you who want to stay on can talk to Stephanie afterwards.
Lovely.
Go ahead and show your...
So yeah, so here's a textile book, and this is actually Saskia, and I think there's a Rembrandt in here too. And so I've mixed media. I've got little pockets in here that have things in. Hard to do things upside down, but you know, you can create pockets in it. And I've got a little envelope with things in it, and it all fits in this cover here. So that's that one. That's kind of a Flemish inspired, lacy. I have Belgian relatives, so I was kind of feeling the Belgian, Flemish, Netherlands thing there. And this is another one. You could just hang it on the wall like that if you want. And this has pockets for things, embroidery, and it all fits like an accordion again into this cover. I haven't folded it up right. So there you go. So that's kind of in a fabric cover. And then this is a circle accordion that I was going to talk about a bit, but that I recycled a magazine on Picasso that really bothered me because, and I wasn't sure why, but it had lots of titles in it like The Brothel and The Artist and his model and stuff. So I took it apart and I remade it into a circle accordion book with pockets, which is what I'm teaching next. And by making it, I started going on about my education, my art education, which was patriarchal AF, and how I used to think Picasso was one of the best artists, but I was that's part of the systematic patriarchy that I was being taught in, world I lived in. And then by the end of it, I remembered, and I'd forgotten, and I'm glad I made this book because it helped me remember that I had a great feminist teacher at art school, amongst all the other more chauvinistic ones. And her name was Annabelle Nicholson. So I had this A and I thought, all right, I'm going to make something with the A from the cover of the book. And Annabelle Nicholson's a great feminist artist who was one of my teachers, and I'd forgotten about her. So making the book helped me remember that. So I suggest make books.
Well, great. So I'm going to have Jenny, my colleague, make an announcement, and then we'll let you have your chat session. Okay? Take it away, Jenny.
Nice. Thank you, Cheryl. I just want to thank everybody for attending our Shelter in Studio today with Stephanie. It's always great to see everyone online joining us at lunch break. And I just wanted to quickly let you know about a couple of other events that are coming up. Next Thursday for Shelter in Studio, we will have letterpress printer Jessica Spring of Springtide Press joining us. So that's something fantastic to look through or join. And I also wanted to let everyone know that we will be having an artist reception for our new upcoming exhibition titled Rising Together, which is an exhibition of artist books about social justice. And so that exhibit has actually been touring for 4 years, and San Francisco Center for the Book is the final stop. We will have lots of online programming around that exhibition. Our gallery is not currently open to the public, but we are ready to celebrate the artists and the work in the show. So you can join us February 17th from 5 to 6:30, and you can register for that event online at our website. So www.sfcb.org. All right, so I'm going to hand it back over to Cheryl. She has, I think, a little bit of last minute housekeeping, but thanks again, everybody, for joining us today.
Yes, so thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And if you get a chance, you should take Stephanie's classes. I love her use of color, and she's such a fun teacher. So if there's a wait list, please do sign up for it, because we do look at those and we do come up with, we try to fill other sessions with the wait list first. And without further ado, I am going to make Stephanie the co-host, and if you'd like to stay on and chat with her, you are welcome to.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Jenny.